football fan, have you ever found yourself wondering, what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help you. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to part 2 of our Rule 9 series here, of our rule book, our NFHS rule book series. We're going to jump back in with part 2 of Rule 9 in a moment. Before we dive back in with Coach Chip, this episode is being brought to you once again by refshop.us. Refshop.us. Check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Your one-stop shopping for all your equipment and uniform needs. You're working your first game, you're a seasoned vet, Ref Shop has everything that you'll need, from shirts and pants, whistles, Midland radios, Reading study guides, everything there. Visit refshop.us. Use promo code TALK26 at checkout to save 10% on your order. That's refshop.us and TALK26, TALK26 there on Ref Shop. And now, without further ado, I take you back to Rule 9, Part 2, Coach Chip. Take it away. All right, illegal helmet contact now. All right, Coach, you got this one.
Another thing I used to do.
Yep.
Initiating
and that's why
contact
you are the way
with
you
the
are.
helmet. Yeah. Initiating contact with the helmet, and it needs to be outlawed. Butt blocking / face tackling using front of helmet. Because that's what we used to. You're old enough. You remember you were taught to block with those screws.
Yep.
When an offensive line coach says put the screws to them, they literally mean put the screws to them. Hit them with these bolts right here.
Yep.
At the top of your face mask, and we would hit them in the chest that way, and then slide it, and then explode with our hips and try to come under their face mask, right here.
Yeah.
And that got outlawed a long time ago, and I don't think I ever taught it, because I think it got outlawed maybe while I was in college, or they started calling it. Spearing, of course, has always been illegal. Using crown of helmet at or below shoulders, and targeting, taking aim, and initiating contact above the shoulders. Which, like I said, there's a rule right there. Just enforce it. If they make contact above the shoulders, throw a cockeyed flag.
All right, and again, this is another 15-yarder, so legal helmet contact, 2 signals, personal foul. And this one is going to be one fist going to the heads. So we're showing that one. Personal foul, 15 yards for illegal contact to the head.
What is the signal for giving them the business?
Jerry Markbright? Yeah, giving him the business.
Giving him the business.
Yep. Classic. I think that was Joe Klecko on the pile there.
Yeah. So penalty on number so-and-so. He's giving him the business, and referee did that.
Yep. All right, so horse collar. This one is also a fun one here. Again, we told you there's going to be a lot of 15-yarders here. Horse collar, 9-4-3. Grabbing the inside, back, or the side collar, or the nameplate of either the shoulder pads or the jersey of the runner, and 2 parts, subsequently pulling the opponent to the ground backwards or sideways. That is going to be a horse collar foul, 15-yard personal foul, 38. Grabbing the inside of our collars as the official, showing that it's a horse collar. It has to be both phases, because you can grab that back collar, but if that runner fights through that and they go forward, we don't have a horse collar penalty. If they come out sideways and you grab it through here, or the nameplate right along the back, the upper portion of the jersey. Some teams don't have names on it, which I'm okay with. You pull that down, we got a 15-yarder.
But you got to
so
pull
we
them
have
to
to
the
have
ground.
both things. Correct. So even if you kind of just pull on it and it goes backwards and then continues going forward, we got nothing. It's got to be to the ground.
Well, what we're teaching defensively is to grab whatever you can grab, pull to slow them down, and let go and then tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you can grab that thing, slow them down, and then wrap them up, and that's legal. We actually Our DC has a drill that he practices that. We come up behind the kid, grab him, pull him back, and then tackle him.
100% good. But again, for us officials, has to be both phases of it. All right, Coach, another fun one here. Blindside.
Yeah, another thing we used to do back in the day, Mike.
Yeah, the highlight films were all about these.
Oh, yeah. A block against an opponent other than the runner who does not see the blocker approaching. At one time, that was called a dream. Execute a dream come true.
Yeah.
He's not looking. Executing a blindside block outside of the free blocking zone with forceful contact is a foul unless initiated with open hands. Illegal blindside block, it looks like that's the personal foul penalty, and then you do this right here.
Yep, two fists together.
Yeah. But that, again, yeah, I know we used to do it, but you can still execute that block without totally destroying that guy.
Well, you can still totally destroy that guy. If you lower your shoulder and then you finish with your hands coming out, I got nothing. Like, we're not taking out the big hits necessarily. We're taking out the shoulder into that blind guy. And then typically what you're going to have with this, you're going to have a 15-yard blindside block, and then you may have a tack on 15-yard unsportsmanlike, because that kid a lot of times is standing over the guy that they just blindsided. Mm-hmm. So you can double it up on that one. So you have a live ball and a dead ball.
And we had the issue when they started calling that, our receivers were basketball players, and they would do this and run into the kid. And some officials called it and some didn't call it, because technically they weren't open-handed, but they were just doing what they do when they take a charge.
Yeah, that's ticky-tack in my opinion.
Yeah,
I would let
but now if they run through them, but
yeah. If anything, I think you're going to hurt your own hands this way because you're not defending
they didn't
yourself.
But they didn't want to do this because they didn't want to mess up their hands, their fingers. That's why they did that. I think this was more dangerous for a receiver to get jammed fingers.
Meh. I mean, I was an offensive lineman. I broke every one of these ones.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I mean, we lived with our fingers taped together.
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, you can't see it, but that one there goes in two directions.
Oh, yeah, my pinky does too. My pinky, you could see it there. See how it kind of goes a little.
Yours are uglier than mine.
Thank you.
But you played more in the open hand era. Remember when they didn't have open hands until I was in college. We were still shoulder blocking when in high school.
Give him the old flipper.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. Tripping.
The intentional use of the lower leg or foot to obstruct an opponent below the knee. No player shall trip an opponent, including the runner. And penalty tripping 15 yards. You see this a lot from kickers because they don't want to take that guy on the open field, and they'll do that slide tackle like you see in soccer.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's still a penalty.
And this one doesn't say bring them to the ground. It's the intentional use of the lower leg or foot to obstruct an opponent below the knee. That's tripping. So if that kicker, like you're talking about, swings their leg to try to trip a return man and they miss, technically we got a foul. Now, that was going to be a tough one to sell to the coach of the offending team, but technically we've got a foul on that. All right, roughing. Roughing the passer, 944. The passer, definition of a passer, a player who throws a legal forward pass, continues to be a passer until the legal forward pass ends or they move to participate in the play. Defense must make a definitive effort to avoid charging into the passer after it is clear the ball has been thrown. And every white hat, because this is going to be a white hat call every single time, it should be the head referee's call because their number one job is to protect the passer. Everybody's got a little bit of a different type of viewpoint on this. I know my white hat says if it's more than one extra step, we're going to throw it. So if they're stepping and the ball comes out and they just continue with their step and make contact with the passer, nothing. But if they're taking an extra step to get to that passer, then you're going to have a roughing. So the roughing the passer is a 15-yard foul and an automatic first down. So we got three signals for this one. You got the chop for the personal foul, You got the hand coming in front, showing that it's on the passer, and then it's going to be first down. So we got 3 signals with that. So the first down signal.
And I know why it's an automatic first down, because I listen to Mike D's whistle talk. Because roughing. If roughing
Bingo.
is in the foul, it's an automatic first down.
So any illegal personal contact foul against the passer is also considered roughing the passer and carries the automatic first down penalty. So your face mask, your tripping, your horse collar, your illegal helmet contact, we're going to categorize all of them into roughing the passer because you get the automatic first down. Where the horse collar, you don't get the automatic first down. You horse collar a quarterback, we're going to call it roughing the passer. All right. Roughing and running into the kicker/holder, coach.
Definitions. The holder is the player who controls the ball on the ground or a kicking tee. The kicker is the player who legally punts, drop kicks, or place kicks. Becomes a kicker when knee, lower leg, or foot makes contact with the ball. Continues to be a kicker until reasonable opportunity to protect himself and regain his balance.
So I'll let you continue with this one.
Running into. Contact which displaces the kicker holder without roughing. Just bumps into him. Or runs into him pretty good, but holds him up.
Yeah.
And pats him on the helmet.
Yep.
Penalty running into the kicker or holder is 5 yards. Roughing. And because it's running into and not roughing, it's not an automatic first down, unless
Correct.
5 yards would give you the first down. Roughing, block, tackle, or charge into the kicker. Penalty for roughing the kicker or the holder is 15 yards and an automatic first down.
All right, coach. So say this is on a field goal or a point after. When can you take those penalties? When can you have the yardage assessed? So if the kicker makes the kick, makes the field goal, what can you do with that penalty?
Well, if you're going to go for 2, you can take it there on the try.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not going to go for 2, you might as well take it on the ensuing kick.
Yeah, so that's where I was going with it. So if it's a made field goal, though, and you got a running penalty, that 5 yards might not get you the first down. And even if it does get you the first down, you might not want to take the points off the board because that's what it's going to do. You accept that penalty. On that, you can take the yardage, first down, replay the down, whatever it may be, or you could take it on the ensuing kickoff. So if you had 4th and 7, to keep the points. If you had 4th and 7 and the kid makes the field goal, you're probably going to keep the points and put it on the ensuing kickoff. Same thing, but now if it's roughing, now you're going to get an automatic first down. Now you really got to think about what you want to do. Take those points off, and now you're possibly half the distance to the goal line after the 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. Now you got to put some serious thought. Some coaches are going to keep the points and take 15 yards up on the ensuing kickoff to really pin them deep. Or, which I know I'm going to see this coming week because the game that I have, we had a team last year, they onside kick on every single kickoff. You put them up 15 more yards, they're definitely going to do some type of onside kick because they were giving you the ball at the 50 sometimes if they didn't recover it. Well, now you're going to get the ball at the 35 if they don't recover it. So they feel that the odds are more in their favor. Coach Chip raising his hand on that one.
I just don't believe in kicking the ball deep unless you can kick it in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. It is not roughing or running into the kicker holder. It is not a foul for roughing or running if the contact is unavoidable, if it is not reasonably certain a kick will be made, if the defense touches the kick near the kicker and contact is unavoidable, so you block a kick or even get a tip of the kick and your momentum takes you into the kicker, you got nothing now. The contact is slight or particularly caused by movement of the kicker, and the contact is caused by R being blocked into the kicker or holder. We've got nothing.
Okay, I didn't know that was in the Federation. Okay, that's a lot for an official. But, I mean, I'm glad it's there, though.
All right, Coach. This one's near and dear to my heart, roughing the snapper.
Yeah, me too. The snapper remains a snapper until he has had a reasonable opportunity to protect himself and gain his balance, or he moves to block or participate in the play. Defensive players shall not charge directly into the snapper when the offensive team is in a scrimmage kick formation. It's a roughing the snapper, and since it's roughing, it's 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Yes, sir. So I want to clarify this one because A, I used to be a long snapper, and B, I am now an umpire. This is my priority on our scrimmage kicks, is me protecting the snapper. And every type of field goal or extra point, you're going to hear me saying, stay off the snapper, holder, kicker. What this means is if you are an A-gap defender and you're trying to go for the block and your initial step is going over the snapper's legs because the snapper is going to have a wider stance, if you're not initial stepping to the snapper, I've got nothing. If your first step, and I had this past week in a scrimmage, the A-gap defender was on the left side of the center, so I was picturing this from the defensive side. I'm standing behind the defensive lineman. He's on the left side of the center. His first step was with his right foot on a 45-degree angle towards the center. I'm going to call that one because his initial step was towards the snapper. You line up head up on the snapper, and you take a step into the gap when the ball is snapped. You're good. Also, and I know I'm throwing a lot at you, you're an A-gap player, you're rushing through A-gap, and that guard who's being taught to block down and close off that gap waffles you, and you fall into the center. I've got nothing. All right? So there's a lot of little things that I'm looking at here to try to make sure that that snapper is protected. And typically you're going to see this foul on extra points and field goals. You don't typically see it too often on punts.
And that's why you try to have an athlete at snapper on your punts, because you know a lot of teams are going to lay off of him, and he can get a free release to go down and cover the punt. I love having athletes at snapper.
That's why I did it.
Oh, okay. That's what you tell your wife and your son. But,
yes.
All right. Also, coaches, and to defend the officials, just because your snapper winds up on the seat of his britches doesn't mean he was roughed, because a lot of teams go down and grab the snapper's leg with the guards and build that wall. Yep. Well, they hit the guard, and the guard falls over, and he doesn't let go of the snapper's coming down with him.
Yeah.
So just because, and mamas and daddies, when you see little Junior out there sitting on his backside, it ain't because he got roughed. It's because a lot of times it's because his guard pulled him down. So the only person that can really see it is you.
Yes.
You, Mike.
That's my priority.
You're not going to see it from the sideline.
No. All right, Coach. Illegal personal contact, flagrant.
Flagrant. Not fragrant, but flagrant.
Coach right now is very fragrant.
I'm very fragrant. A foul so severe or extreme that it places an opponent in danger of serious injury and or involves violations that are extremely or persistently vulgar or abusive conduct. If any illegal personal contact fouls are judged or determined by a game official to be flagrant, penalty will also include disqualification. Disqualifications in New Jersey also include suspension from the next contest, and they also do in Alabama and Georgia.
Yep, and that's for a majority of states. Now, one thing, and you brought this up earlier, New Jersey is also doing this. We can disqualify a player. The video is going up to the state. The state's going to now determine on if that disqualification merits suspension from the next game.
And the GIAA does it dumb. They won't look at the film unless the white hat of the crew gives them permission to look at it.
Oh, no, we have to.
It's automatic. That's the way it should be. Because we had a kid get chunked last year for fighting, and he wasn't fighting. They literally, I'm not making a joke. The other team, we had two linemen blocking and trying to get off the block, and they ended up on the ground. Well, you couldn't see on the film how it began, but their kid is on top of our kid, literally giving him the business. I mean, he's like this, wailing away. Well, one of our kids sees it, comes running over there, puts his hands out, and pushes the kid off the pile, off of his buddy.
Yep.
They called it fighting and threw him out. So
what about the other kid?
Nothing. Nothing.
That's not good.
And again, and not because it happened to me, I just say this happened to anybody because I can only talk about what happens in my games usually. I didn't understand. I said, well, send it to the state. And they said, it won't do any good unless we can talk to so we sent it to the state, and the state said, before we look at it, and they called the white hat, he goes, I can't go against my officials. He said, I trust them. And,
which I like, but
don't even give him the option because it was, when we went back and looked at the film, we said, at what part, when we looked up the definition of fighting and swinging your fist and all that kind of stuff, he literally open-handed pushed the kid off the pile, his teammate. Literally.
Now, technically, I do understand the personal foul in that aspect, but not a DQ.
No, not a DQ. And that kid missed the next game.
Yeah.
And he was our best player.
All right, so unsportsmanlike, non-contact, unsportsmanlike conduct, 9-5. No player shall act in an unsportsmanlike manner once the game officials assume authority for the contest, including but not limited to the use of profanity, insulting, or vulgar language or gestures, any delayed, excessive, or prolonged act to focus attention on themselves, refusing to comply with the game official's request, spiking the ball or otherwise not leaving it on the ground or handing it to the official. An unsportsmanlike conduct penalty is signal 27, two hands straight out. It is a 15-yard penalty. A second unsportsmanlike conduct foul will result in an ejection. Not a disqualification, but an ejection. So here in New Jersey, we have categorized a disqualification is going to be the 1-game suspension. An ejection is you're out of the rest of that game. So that we do delineate between the two. So I want to go back up. Using profanity, insulting, or vulgar language or gestures. I don't know the last time I've worked a high school game, no matter what level, where I don't hear vulgarity, profanity. Do I like it? No. But if I were to throw a personal conduct foul on every time I heard an F word towards themselves because they screwed up, F. That's what this rule is stating. So I got to be smart with it. If I hear it going towards another team, that's where I'm going to step in and I'm going to talk with them. Okay? If I hear the profanity followed by something that is deemed race, gender, ethnicity, any of those things, now I'm going to throw the 15 yards. So it's a fine line. We understand emotions take part in this sport. It's a major part in this sport. And you have kids that are going through puberty and all that other stuff. So their hormones are flying all over the place. And who knows, their girlfriend may be a cheerleader on the sideline, or they're trying to show off to get her to be the girlfriend, whatever it may be. We got to understand that we're dealing with kids. They're going to make mistakes. But if they're doing it towards themselves, hey, listen, we don't need that. N-word. That's a touchy one.
Yeah.
Because it should be thrown every single time. Stuff like that, gender, calling somebody by a homosexual connotation. These are the touchy ones, and we don't want to have to deal with it, but it does fall upon our shoulders to deal with it. So it is a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and again, if they get 2, it can be an ejection.
Didn't we talk about this when you were on my podcast last time?
Yes. Yep.
Coaches, tell your kids they can get flagged for using it on their own players too.
Yeah.
It's not just calling the other team an ugly word.
Yep.
But just saying like, "Come on, man, you blank and blank."
Yeah.
And that's happened to me. Our team leader, he got up. We couldn't believe it, and then he explained. He went, "Oh, yeah."
And again, that's one that I would really like to have this stern talking to instead of throwing that 15-yard, because it's emotions typically, especially towards their own teammate, but just helping them understand why that could potentially be a 15-yarder, I think is more beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Coach. 3-7 substitutions. We're
All
talking
right.
about the definitions.
Replaced player notified by substitute that he is to leave field. Player is also considered replaced when substitute becomes a player. Substitute, team member who replaces teammate or fills vacancy. Becomes a player when communicates with teammate or game official, enters the huddle, positioned in formation, or participates in the play.
All right, I'm going to let you continue with this one.
All right, any number of eligible substitutes may replace players between downs. Replaced players shall begin to leave field within 3 seconds. That meets the criteria. Must leave field on side which his team box is located and go directly there. I want to come back and ask you a question about that one. Substitute can't become player and withdraw. Same dead ball period. Player can't withdraw and re-enter as a substitute. Same dead ball period. Unless penalty is accepted, dead ball foul occurs, charge timeout, or period ends. That's the exception to that last bullet.
Yep.
Penalty for an illegal substitution is 5 yards. It's considered a dead ball foul. All right, must leave the field on side which his team is located and go directly there. I saw that happen years ago, and the kid was split out wide on the other team's sideline. He realized, oh crap, I'm not supposed to be in, and he jumped off on their sideline.
Yep, that's
They didn't throw a flag.
That's an
The
illegal
kid stayed there.
substitution.
The play played out, and then the kid jogged off the field, went
Yep.
across the field, and I was like, I don't think that's kosher.
Yeah, and that's probably one where the official on the sideline was like, wait a minute, what? Did that just happen? One of
Yeah.
those scenarios.
Oh yeah, it's kind of like a basketball guy when he sees a traveling call that's so obvious, he goes, and they don't even call it because it was just so obvious, you know.
Yep. So that signal for the illegal substitution, like you mentioned, is a dead ball. So hand straight up in the air saying that it's a dead ball. And then one hand across the chest is signal 22. So 7 and 22. Dead ball, illegal substitution, 5-yard foul, replay, whatever down it is.
Now let me ask you this. Now, all right, all you officials, are you live? Are you live today, Mike?
Yes, but not many people are on back and forth.
Okay. I want to ask, and if you're listening to this recorded, I want you to pitch in with Mike, or you can contact me at siegel.chip@gmail.com. I recently did a video and a podcast, a bonus podcast episode, I call it, about special teams. And I told the story about years ago, it's like early aughts. We're playing a team, we're on defense, and you can see it's like 3rd and long. And I'm in the box, and I'm the offensive coordinator, and so okay, they're about to punt, because I can see they got their punt team, they got the punt alert, punt teams all grouped up there. And so it's probably 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean 4th and 4, 4th and 3, something like that. And the offensive team starts jogging off the field. The punt alert guys start jogging onto the field. Well, when they met each other, and you couldn't tell in the heat of the moment what had happened, they all turned around and went back in the opposite direction. So then they lined up and ran an offensive play.
Yeah.
I think that's illegal in college and the NFL. I don't know. What about federation?
It's illegal in the federation as well.
It's illegal?
Yes. Yep.
But it's hard to pick up because we didn't pick it up. Now on the film, it was obvious.
Yeah.
You could see, and they all did it. But especially at field level, heck, I was in the box and I probably wasn't even paying attention because I was probably getting ready to call my first and 10 play. But because I was in the box, this is early odds. But I thought it was genius.
No,
It was sneaky.
And this is going to be one where we're going to go with the discretion of that side, that wing official that's there on, like you talked about, special teams coordinator might not be in the OC's headset about what's going on, and they see it's 4th and 7, so they're like, punt team, go. And all of a sudden they start going out onto the field, and the offensive coordinator is like, no, offense, stay out there. So you got to kind of take it with the context of how it's playing out. If it's designed to be deceptive, it should be called. If it's just a mistake by 16-year-old kids, we should let it go. Again, the preventative officiating in that aspect. Does that
Well,
make
it's
sense?
it's the reason my defense became my punt return team.
Yeah, because then you don't
From
have to
that,
do any modifications.
from that point on, we may put one in, like we take a jug butt out and put the return man back
Yep.
deep. That was it.
That's predominantly what you're seeing these days is very minimal substitutes because you got to be able to play defense.
You know, and but that I thought it was genius, and I don't know at the time if it was an illegal substitution or not, but I did find out you can't do that on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so continuing with substitutions 3-7. During a down, replaced player or substitute who unsuccessfully leaves the field and does not participate in the play constitutes an illegal substitution. So they were subbing somebody off and they didn't get off in time when the ball was snapped. You got a legal substitution. 5 yards, that's a live ball foul. Entering substitute shall be on the team side of the neutral zone when the ball is snapped or free kick. Okay, 5 yard, live ball foul. And during a down, a replaced player or a substitute who enters the field but does not participate constitutes an illegal substitution. So if that player runs out onto the field and they create the 12th player on the field, or they were just late getting on, if they didn't do anything, we're not going to throw anything on that one. I'm sorry. We are going to have an illegal substitution, not an illegal participation, because an illegal participation is a 15-yarder. So that's a 5-yarder. So let me rephrase that. During a down, the replaced player or substitute enters the field but does not participate. We have a legal substitution, 5 yards, which leads us to our next slide where we're going to talk about participation. So participation by a replaced player or substitute constitutes illegal participation. Definition of participation: an act or action by a player or non-player that influences the play. Okay, and we'll talk about now illegal participation. Coach, you want to take this one?
All right, no player shall intentionally go out of bounds during the down and return to the field, intentionally touch the ball, influence the play, otherwise participate.
So I want to pause you right there really
Please
quick.
do.
Just had somebody email me a question about this one, and it's the one, again, that people get messed up seeing it on Saturday and Sunday. NFHS rules. Kickoff is going down near the sideline, and the returner intentionally steps out of bounds and then reaches back to touch the ball to try to get for a kick out of bounds. That is illegal participation. That is a 15-yard penalty when they do that. And they see it in the NFL and they see it in the NCAA. And that's constituted as look at that smart play by that returner. NFHS rules, that is illegal participation, 15 yards.
And the other place I see this is the gunners on
Yes.
punt. Now, there's two things here. First off, if the corner blocks them out of bounds, then they can come back in.
Yes.
But if they run out of bounds to avoid the guy that's blocking them, then they can't come back in.
Yep.
But I have seen kids get blocked out of bounds, and a really smart kid, and I don't know if he was coached to do it or not, when he got blocked out of bounds, he just kept going and went behind the team and ran down behind the team and then came back in down the field. Now that, he's got to come right back in.
Yep. Read the next bullet point.
If A or K is blocked out of bounds by an opponent, they shall return to the field at the first opportunity. There you go. No replaced player, substitute, coach, etc. shall hinder an opponent, touch the ball, influence the play, or otherwise participate. Because I've also seen this done too, when they blocked that poor gunner out of bounds and the whole team circled him. Not the whole team, but a bunch of kids circled him and just wouldn't let him get back on the field.
Yep. All right, continue with this slide and then we'll move on.
More on illegal participation. When any team personnel enters during the down and participates, I will tell you a story about that. For a player whose helmet comes off during the down to continue to participate beyond the immediate action in which he's engaged, that penalty is illegal participation 15 yards from the basic spot. Now,
2 hands on the head, signal 28.
I'll tell this story, and I'll use his name because he's long since dead. There was this notorious coach, and whale of a coach, named Shorty Johnson down in South Alabama. and he was finishing up his career about the time I was starting mine. And I never saw him do it, but I played a lot of ball with guys that played for him
Okay.
and guys that were from that area. They said he would take a guy like this kid wasn't very good, and he had a hard time getting him on the field, and he would send him down in the player's box about 25 yards down the field and tell him just step on the field after the ball snapped.
Nope.
And they threw the ball to him.
Oh.
Now back then, in the 60s and 70s, the guys telling me this story, they were my age and older, so it was 60s and 70s. I said, did he get away with that? And they said, yeah. And they said, heck, in baseball, he'd be coaching third base, and he'd bring a kid out of the dugout while he was coaching third and act like he was talking to him. And when the ball got hit, he'd say, run home.
Wow.
They said he did all kind of crazy stuff. He would do crazy things. He coached every sport at little school. Basketball, there's all kind of stories about him. But he used to have a kid just walk on the field and they throw him the ball.
And back in those days, most varsity games were officiated by 3 officials, maybe 4 officials.
Maybe 4.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So.
And this was like country 1A football in South Alabama. They had 3 or 4 officials, and you'd probably get away with it. But he used to do some, coaches hated to play against him.
I'm sure officials hated to have him on their schedule too.
Yep.
All right. It is a legal participation, 9-6, to have 12 or more players participate at the snap or free kick. This is why we try to get the illegal substitution and blow it dead. To use personnel in a substitution or pretend to substitute to deceive. Coach Chip's story. For a player to be lying on the ground to deceive opponents. You cannot be the dog. For a disqualified player to re-enter the game. And I want to talk about this one because the Federation has now stated that a disqualified player does not need to leave the team area. Correct. They do need to stay in the team box, but they can stay on the sideline. And the reason for this is, especially if you're an away team, you throw that kid out of the stadium, where are they going? Maybe back to the bus, unmonitored by themselves? Can't happen. So it opens up a lot of Pandora's box with that. So they now say that they can stay on the sideline. What the coaches do in that scenario, I've heard coaches say, oh, we'll have him take off his shoulder pads, we'll hide his helmet, whatever they do, like for the concussion protocol type thing, to make sure that player doesn't try to sneak back in. But at that point in time, the coaches are emotional too because they just lost one of their players, and so they do tend to be kids and try to sneak back in.
Just take their helmet and their shoulder pads away from them. And by the way, that lay on the ground to deceive, who was that in college that did that? They were wearing, their uniform was the same color as the field or the end zone. And the kid laid down in the end zone and was still, and they threw it back to him on a kickoff return.
I don't know who that was. That's
it was
a funny one.
It was just a few years ago. I don't think it was Boise.
Was it Boise State with the blue field? Or
it could have been, but
Coastal Carolina's got a teal field.
I thought it was in the end zone, and whatever color the end, because end zones are different colors.
Yep. And
literally, and they showed it from a faraway shot and froze it. You couldn't see him.
Wow.
The color of the uniform, they were wearing like all black or all. I can't remember. It's been a few years ago, and it was legal. I guarantee you that's why that rule is in now.
All right, so I want to talk about this one because this one happened to our association a couple of years back. Illegal participation versus illegal substitution. Participation is always a live ball foul, where most substitution ones are going to be considered dead ball fouls, which we just went through that list. To call legal substitution, the player must not participate in the down. 12 players on the field. Recognize it before the snap, dead ball foul, illegal substitution. If you recognize it after the snap, the play goes on, live ball foul, illegal participation. So this is why, in my crew, 6-man mechanics, myself, and my referee, we're in charge of counting the offense, and we're signaling to each other, yep, we got 11 white, whatever color they may be. Usually it's just a fist in the air, a thumbs up to each other, nonverbal, so that we can see. And then our 2 deep wings are in charge of counting the defense every time, and they're signaling to each other, okay, we're good. If they've got 10 on the field, I'm going to signal to my referee. I've only got 10 on the offense. I'm going to give 2 open palm chest bumps to myself, signaling 10 fingers. And I do want to sometimes get on the O to O for 10 so that my wings know with the number of people on the line rule, so which shouldn't be an issue if that is called. The only confusing one is entering substitute shall be on the team side or neutral zone when the ball is snapped or free kicked. So if a kid's running on late and they're behind the line of scrimmage, technically that's okay, but now if the ball is snapped, now you've got a live ball, illegal substitution.
So it wouldn't be offsides?
It wouldn't be offsides. Okay. Yep. All right, Coach.
Illegal kicking. An illegal kick is any intentional striking of the ball with the knee, lower leg, or foot that does not comply with 2-24-3 free kick or 2-24-4 scrimmage kick. Basically, any deviation from the kicking definitions is an illegal kick. No player shall intentionally kick the ball other than free or scrimmage kick. Penalty, illegal kicking is 10 yards. Illegal kicks are treated as a fumble if ball was live prior to the illegal kick.
Yep.
So play continues and it can be recovered by the other team and they can take the ball and decline the penalty or whatever. Yeah.
Correct. And we've talked about that one before, so we're gonna move on with this one. So illegal batting now, 9-7. No player shall bat a loose ball other than a pass or fumble that is in flight, a low scrimmage kick in flight, which they are attempting to block in or behind the neutral zone. The exception is a K player may bat towards his own goal line on a grounded scrimmage kick beyond the neutral zone or a scrimmage kick in flight if no R player is in a position to catch the ball. Okay? If there is somebody within area to catch the ball, then you have KCI, so we got to give them the afforded protection to do that. So a pass or fumble in flight, you could bat the ball. A low scrimmage kick in flight where they're going for a block, so PAT, punt, extra point, field goal, that's okay. And on a kick that is going basically about to bounce into the end zone, for them to save the ball from going into the end zone, they bat the ball back towards their own goal line, that is okay. Any pass in flight may be batted in any direction, unless it's a backward pass batted forward by the passing team. So your option, kid pitches the ball, and for some reason, one of their teammates just smacks the ball forward. That's going to be illegal batting. Ball in player possession cannot be batted towards a teammate. Illegal batting is signal 31, which is one hand touching your shoulder, 10-yard penalty. All right, we talked about unsportsmanlike, so I'm going to move on with this one. All right, Coach, restricted area and sideline control. Point of emphasis, ladies and gentlemen. Point of emphasis, 2026.
A non-player shall not be outside his team box unless to become a player or to return as a replace player. A maximum of 3 coaches may be in the restricted area. They must vacate when snap is imminent. That means it's about to happen, y'all. No non-player or coach shall be in the restricted area where the ball is live.
And here we got the diagram of the team boxes, the coaches area, and the restricted area. And this is why us officials love the the turf fields, because they typically have a big white line that's designating where that is going to be, not just for out of bounds, but to get the substitutes out of there and to get the coaches out of there. And then the team box is behind it. So it's 25-yard line, a 25-yard line, 2 yards deep. And each state can adjust that one. It's a 2-yard belt in front of the team box, which is the coaches area, and the restricted area is all the red, 2 yards around the outlying of the field, where you'll see your photographers, your administration, and all the other people might be in that area. Well, keep them out of the restricted area still, because that's our area to work. All right, so here we've got 3 violations with the restricted area and sideline control. 9-8-3. Verbal warning always comes first. Verbal warning always comes first, sometimes even second, even third. Like, coach, get out of the way. We're going to throw the flag on you. The first time we throw a flag, it's going to be a sideline warning. So you're going to see two hands pushing back, sideline warning. That's now telling everybody, I'm fed up with it. You're in my way. Get out of the way. Sideline warning. Second offense is 5-yard sideline interference. Dead ball foul. Sideline interference is two hands behind the back. The third time, it's now a 15-yard. And it will go with sideline interference and an unsportsmanlike conduct. Unintentional contact between a player and an official in the restricted area, unintentional, not on purpose, is a 15-yard sideline interference penalty. Guys, gals, once again, that is our office. Get out of there. If I'm running downfield and I'm trying to watch the play, which you're screaming at me about or that I'm missing calls, well, if I have to turn and look to see if I can run, well, I can't turn and look to see what the play is. If I run into you because I'm doing my job, it is automatically 15 yards. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's 15 yards. If there is contact, which now is danger to us officials and sometimes you coaches, because some of us are big. So if we're running down the sideline and we roll through you, that's a 15-yard penalty on you, and you just got your ass run over. So please be mindful of that. All right. Coach, we got two more slides here on unfair acts.
No player shall hide the ball under a jersey. Oh, man. No player shall use a kicking tee in violation of Rule 134. Penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct, 15 yards. Does not count against player or coach for ejection purposes. You know, Paul Brown had a football sewn on, outline of football sewn onto the jerseys.
I did not know that.
There's a rule now you can't do that. I know in the
Okay.
NFL there is. He did that.
All right, and our last slide for today, Unfair Acts 9-9. A player, non-player, or person not subject to all the rules shall not hinder play by an unfair act which has no specific rule coverage. No team shall repeatedly commit fouls which have the distance to the goal. Neither team shall commit an act which tends to make a travesty of the game. Unfair acts, signal 27. And again, we've got a couple question marks here for the yardage, because if you're doing it to try to get the half the distance type penalty, this is where we can give a score. Okay.
You told the story about the linebacker.
Yep. Referee enforce any penalty they feel is equitable, including the award of a score. So your unfair acts are probably going to fall into an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, a 15-yarder. But if we're doing it from the 1 to the half, to the quarter, to the 8th, to the 16th, well, we can give it the score and not give it the yardage.
Right. Which is good.
All right, Coach. Well, here we are, an hour and a half later.
Sorry about that.
No, we're going to make this 2 episodes. So, once again, Coach, truly appreciate you. We've got one more rule that we need to cover, Rule 8, and then I got to go over a couple more signals, and then we are done with our rules series for 2026. So, Coach, appreciate you. Love having you on. Love the stories. Once again, where can everybody find you?
On Twitter, X, it's Coach Chip at Chip Siegel, Seagle. Football Talk with Coach Chip, Facebook group. And, of course, go to my YouTube channel, y'all, and give me a subscribe, please. Just subscribe. It really helps me. I hit 5,000 back in December, and I'm less than 200 from 6,000. And my goal was to get another 1,000 this year, so hopefully it's coming. Because based on the averages, it's coming. But if you're listening to this, just go to Football Talk with Coach Chip on YouTube.
There you go.
And just click subscribe. I had a doctor friend of mine he said, but I'm not going to watch it. Why should I subscribe? I said, because it helps me out, dude. You ain't got to be a coach to watch it. And so hit that up. And if you got any questions, you want to email me or whatever, it's siegel.chip@gmail.com, SEAGLE.chip@gmail.com.
All right, Coach. Appreciate you once again. Love having you on as always. And at this point, until we meet again, my friend,